The Atlantic right whale is a critically endangered marine mammal with a sad history. Fishermen began calling the baleen whale the right whale because it was the right one to kill or hunt. It was hunted in great numbers since the 11th century until the population was brought nearly to extinction at the beginning of the 20th century. In 1935, it became illegal to hunt the Atlantic right whales. The population still struggles to recover due to human impact, which I will discuss today. I will also discuss successful conservation strategies to help this great marine mammal defeat extinction. The North Atlantic right whale, Eubelina glacialis, is a baleen whale. It's docile, slow swimming, and coastal, which means it stays to the coast. Its high blubber content means it will float when it's killed, and has lots of oil, which is the reason why it was killed. It was a great resource. It skims the surface for food, feeds mainly on copepods, estimated that there are less than 500 left. Habitat. It stays in the northern hemisphere, which is why it's called the North Atlantic right whale. It stays mostly along the Atlantic coast of North America and migrates annually between north, up here, for summer feeding, and south for reproduction in calving grounds. Its role in the ecosystem. It has few known predators, although of course we are the worst. Humans, orcas, and sharks. Its known prey are copepods, plankton, planktivore, zooplankton, and small crustaceans. Human impacts. Well, for centuries, literally, it was killed in huge numbers by the whaling industry. Nowadays, the main impacts that are, threatening to kill the very few right whales that we have left are collisions with boats and entanglements with fishing gear or fishing nets. Pollution, of course, is a problem, such as the Great Pacific or Great Atlantic garbage patches. There are garbage patches within each ocean, and if they're swimming and they, open their mouth to skim the top to, eat what they think is plankton or krill, and it's actually plastic, then after consuming so much plastic, they will eventually die. Sonic pollution, which is sound pollution, separating from calving grounds because of shipping routes, and climate change and ocean acidification can cause changes in food availability. So in 2011, there were estimates of 465 to 508 individuals identified. These numbers vary from different sources. There has been slight growth, though, as mentioned by the NOAA in 2016. Photo identification and tracking devices such as electronic or satellite devices help us track these right whales. And due to the low population size and low annual reproductive rates, it takes them a year of gestation to reproduce or to create a baby. The human mortality has a really negative impact because they can't reproduce fast enough. How do we collect data as scientists? Well, photos are taken from ships and airplanes from above. Individual whales are recognized by the patterns of sea lice on their head and their bodies. Individuals are tagged electronically to track them over time. We also use listening detection buoys. There are these electronic devices that record and analyze whale sounds up to 5 nautical miles away. When a right whale is detected, an alert is sent to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and then ships are alerted of their presence so they can slow down. Scientists also study the remains of dead ocean mammals to analyze their anatomy and extract biological data. Surveys of whale migration patterns identify 7 common places where whales congregate. And if we know where they congregate, we know where we can avoid. And genetic analysis based on mitochondrial DNA. Climate change. So the predictions were quite negative. People thought that this was going to impact the food chain in really negative ways. And if there's not enough food, then the right whale would become extinct. However, in the last 5 to 10 years, it's been found that because of the climate shifts in the Arctic, there's been a great increase in the amount of copepod prey. So this has led to a large increase in annual right whale calf reproduction. If there is continued calf reproduction, that will be contingent upon prey abundance. And we just don't know if the prey abundance is going to last or if the continued rise in climate will make the prey disappear again. So we're really not sure how this is going to impact the whales long term. So what is community-based conservation? It's getting the community involved in helping to preserve the natural biodiversity of an area by integrating the community. We can use their expertise and community support while helping the community grow, keeping costs low, sustaining efforts over time, and meeting social needs. For whales, that means getting fishermen and mariners to report sightings and avoid areas where whales are found. Academia, government, and industry can help create safer fishing gear. Seasonal fishing regulations. The Center for Coastal Studies in Provincetown has a disentanglement program, and they actually save these animals who have been entangled in fishing nets. And the relocation of major shipping lanes, such as the one in Boston. My conservation plan. The first technique would be to educate the local fishermen of New York. So I would try to do the same thing that the CCS does in Provincetown here in New York. And the reason that I think this is valuable is because there's been so many whale sightings in the New York Harbor, in the East River, and around the New York area. I had a student the other day who told me that they were taking the Staten Island ferry and they saw whales. And this was the first time they'd ever seen whales. So I think the fact that we're seeing more of them means that there's a need for us to help them. So educating local fishermen on the types of whales, educating them on how to avoid collisions, such as reducing speeds and keeping their distance. And also through fundraising efforts, we can help commercial fishermen by providing education and new fishing gear that will release whales that have been caught in the line. These are called buoy lines, and they have weak links that release when pressure is applied. The second step of my conservation plan would be to really take action. I would want to create a community conservation team such as the CCS in Cape Cod to help monitor whales located in the New York Harbor and waterways. We could use tracking devices such as electronic tagging systems. We could also work with the New York Aquarium to use acoustic buoy detection software to locate Atlantic right whales when they are in the New York Harbor and alert fishermen and other shipping vessels to help them avoid collisions. We can also create a New York disentanglement program and use specific strategies such as kegging to disentangle trapped marine mammals. Since 1984, the CCS has freed 200 large whales and marine mammals. That's a huge number. So, in conclusion, I think that because we've been seeing more whales in the New York Harbor, I think by teaming up with the New York Aquarium and other scientists in the area, we can help monitor and support the conservation efforts of these huge gentle giants and help them recover.